G'day, citizen. Welcome to Inforunners. I'm actually joined today by Algared. How you doing, mate?
I'm doing fairly well.
Yeah.
And a happy new year to you as
Yeah,
well.
same. How you holding up after the big drinks? I'm.
Yeah, it's fairly well. It was a very
Yeah,
noisy
yeah.
evening last night.
Well, we're coming up to about another 3 hours from midnight again on New Year's Day, and I'm not
Yeah.
quite there. Let's just say that. So yeah. Anyway, so what we were going to do today, we did this around this time last year. We did a daily drivers for 322 is what we're going to do today. So this is my top 5 and Algared's top 5. We're doing our own top 5s. I'm going to start at the worst and go to best. And kicking it off the rank, Algared, is you with your number 5. So what is your number 5 today?
Well, my number 5 is the Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to be fair. My 5 aren't really in any order.
Mm-hmm.
I like them all about the same, and it depends on what I'm doing.
Yep.
But the Eclipse is a really nice ship, especially if you're doing bounty missions. It's you get in close or get in 5k out, you drop your torpedo and you fly away, and it enables you to do those very hard missions very quickly, which helps you grind that rep. Yeah, so lovely ship.
Yeah, it's definitely the most efficient way to do the bounty missions. That is 100% true. Yeah, just let it go. I guess obviously the weakness for me is if you've got to go back and reload.
Yeah,
But definitely
that is a pain in the butt.
yeah, especially if you miss a torp. But yeah, just make sure you're within 5 kilometers. I usually go to about 4.5 and then let it fly, but it'll take it a hammerhead in one shot. So yeah.
Yeah.
I agree more.
A very nice ship for that.
Right. The next one we both like actually, so we could probably this is both this is my number 5 and Algared's number 4 is the Suan. I think this is just a really it's not probably the best bunker runner yet, but for 322, I just love flying it. It is just so different. You can take a couple of guns in it on the gun lockers and a suit and basically just go do your bunker runs. Obviously you don't have the medical.
Yeah.
But it's just a great little ship to fly. Not too terrible at the bounty hunting missions either. It's quite upgunned considering some other starter ships. I just love flying. I don't know. There's just something really cool about it. It's probably I hate to say it, but probably the most alien ship we've got right now. Like it just feels alien.
That's just because it turns you on your head in terms of flying. You know, you're kind of out of kilter. It makes you certainly for us who've been used to it, certain hand memory and everything else. It reverses it all. So
yeah.
But yeah, I enjoy it because of the style of flying. It does take a bit of getting used to, but it is a nice ship.
Yeah. No, I can't agree more on that. Yeah, they really smashed it out of the park on this one, and that may change in the next patch. But for right now, I'm enjoying it very much, and I think as a starter ship, it's a really good addition to the lineup. All right, so going again, we draw it again on this one. So my number 4 and Algared's number 3 is the C1 Spirit. Algared, so I'll let you go first on this one. What's your draw card?
The thing with the C1 Spirit is the thing you pointed out when the very first time you showed it, you said, "Wow, look at the tractor beam," and then we looked at the Cutless, and I said, "Oh, the Cutless tractor beam's pretty good." But you compare it to the C1's tractor beam and how well you can see inside your hold, and it's a gem. Nice ship to fly as well. Very maneuverable. You know, it feels nice. I was going to say it's very maneuverable, but it feels to me it feels that way. I'm not sure how maneuverable it actually is, but to me it feels that way.
It's easily the fastest of those ships in that kind of area, and I think like generally speaking, it's probably not the best at combat, especially considerable to the Cutlass and stuff like that. But again, speed is generally what you'll be doing most of the time. This is just speeding around delivering cargo, and if that's also a part of your defensive strategy, it doesn't hurt on the offense either. So
it does tend to be Crusaders' modus operandi, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The Star Runner, the run away to live to fight another day, or live to run another day, I suppose.
And I think a bit like the Saulian that we just mentioned, it's at that gold standard. It's just at a new standard, that new hotness. And it also just seems to work really well at the moment with where cargo is and tractor beams. And what might not be like a priority at the moment, as in like the primary ship you take, but a ship that's helping with the loading of those cargo containers on like a piracy mission or a bounty hunting mission, if there's any containers out of a soft def ship. Really, really handy for that. It just
Yeah.
it works really well as that second additional ship to help clean up and move stuff around in. So yeah,
Yep.
I really like it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It is essentially a flying tunnel, but it just
Oh, yep.
if this is the shape of things to come, we're in for treats. Let's just put it that way.
But the thing I really do like about it is that ability to just with that tractor beam just to pull things in and out of that hole so easily. So yeah.
All right. So this is my number 3, Cutless Red. Now this is actually, if John is watching, John Citizen and I do a lot of bunker runs. This is a really handy ship for bunker runs. It allows you to have the medical beds of like a C8R, but it's got just a big enough cargo, like a spot in the back for you to put an STV. And so when me and John go out, he'll either take his or I'll take mine. And we both have loaners for, they're not real ones, they're loaners for our endeavors, funnily enough. And we'll both put we'll just put one STV in the back, and that allows us to go do a bunker run, heal ourselves if required, and if it's one of those ones where you're going to drive in, we both jump in the STV and go in together. So this is for when you're, teaming up with a buddy type of thing, and I still think you could do it on a solo, so it works really well in that regard. And obviously it's not a super slouch in the combat department. We rarely ever have to shoot anything in this thing anyway. But yeah, it's just a great little ship for the now. Yeah, I don't know. Anything you want to add to that, Algared?
No, like anything with a med bed is always handy if you're doing bunker missions. The downside of the Cutlass, the SAR, and the smaller ships with a med bed is if you die, you're still in that same problem where you're dead. And so it still gives the 890 and the Carrack a role in that regard. But they're so big.
Yep.
And that's the downside of those ships.
You're showing down the road. We should have the Apollo by this time. Well, it's now next year, so it would be next year. But by the end of this year, we should have the Apollo, and that'll probably change the game again. But yeah, for the now, this is great.
As you said, this is a now.
Yeah.
Not for then.
Right, Algared's number 2 is the Taurus. Not the Taurus, sorry, the Cutter.
Yep. So the Cutter, I really like flying the Cutter. I know it's anathema to anyone who's not a fan, a Drake fanboy. But it is a lovely little starter ship. It's got the interior, so you can walk around. The cargo hold's pretty sizable.
Yep.
And I'm talking the base cutter. I haven't really liked the Scout cutter. I'm not sure why.
Or the Rambler. I assume you don't like the Rambler.
I certainly haven't picked up the Rambler. And it's not, but I don't like it. It's just, I think both of those ships, you give up too much of what makes the cutter unique in terms of that cargo and everything else. And while the Rambler has that suit locker, which is great and good and would be good for certain missions, the lack of cargo makes it a bit harder. And so for me, it's just the base cutter.
Yeah.
Lovely ship.
I can be honest. If we were going a few ships more, this definitely would have made the list. It would either be my 6th or 7th on the list. I currently brought one. I brought one originally for a giveaway, and I've just held on to it because I've been playing it with it that much. No, I didn't buy it for a giveaway. I used to. It's one of my chains, but I just haven't applied anything because I've been enjoying flying it. It's a great little A to B vehicle. And I agree with all your points. I don't like the Rambler or the Scout. I do think the Scout will eventually see the gameplay it needs. The Rambler's, it's basically an Origin ship with a Drake stamp on it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And when I say that, I mean it's a touring vehicle. It just, that turned out the worst way it could possibly have turned out for me, as you know. But yeah,
for me, the Rambler's a bit like the A2 versus the C2.
Yeah,
A2 gave up all the convenience of that long hanger to put the missile rack, the bomb drops in. And it just seemed to lose it.
Definitely the best starter in the game. I think you and I agree on that. Right.
Yeah.
Moving on then. So my number 2 is the Reclaimer. Obviously with the whole Munchin coming in and all that, this thing is just making a fistful of money at the moment. I think we could also give a call out to the Vulture as well if you want to do it on your own. That kind of does a similar thing. But you can get 3 people in this and just make a ton of money right now. And it's
Yep.
fun. Like it's the stripping's fun, the sucking up is fun. Obviously, it's only going to get more fun as time goes by, as they come back and do more details. It's great to see the claw working and stuff like that. And I think for me, it's not just what this ship can do, it's a sign of the things to come for a lot of ships, Algared, like, as we see more gameplay come online. So
Yep.
it's kinda good for me to get in and, like, I like this ship, but I just love the fact that it's kinda like a test bed for a lot more things coming down the pipe this year.
Yep.
Anything you'd
I'll
like
I'll
to
just
add?
say that
Mm,
I'll just say that both the Reclaimer and the
mm.
the Vulture suck.
Yes, I would agree. They
You know.
suck in a good way.
Yeah.
Would they be just slightly off your list, would you say, or would they be much further down?
If we were going 6 or 7,
Mm,
that'd have been on.
yeah. Alright, cool.
Um,
Alright,
yeah.
Algared's number 1, as you probably saw because I stuffed it up earlier. It's Algared. Let us know your thoughts here.
So yep. So the Taurus, I love the Taurus. I like it because I like RSI
Mm,
anyway. But the Taurus is a great ship for
mm,
exactly the same reasons that I like the C1.
mm,
That tractor beam at the front. Now this is interesting. The picture has 2 tractor beams working,
mm,
but we know it only has the one
mm,
that's working. Um, but the beauty is it enables you to pull things in and out of that cargo hold, and it's a
mm,
cavernous cargo hold.
yeah,
So it's great in that sense.
mm,
It still has stock 4 size 4
mm,
guns, so you can put 2 size 5s on the top currently.
mm,
Um, and it's got the dorsal turret with
mm,
its pea shooters.
yeah,
But the other thing that makes the Taurus such a nice ship is A, it loses the P-52, which is useless if you're flying solo or with
mm,
one or two mates. But it has the complete missile loadout of an Andromeda,
mm.
and that makes it not a slow.
I think for me, we haven't seen the full versatility of this ship yet, but I do think, like, how I was mentioned before about, like,
Yeah,
getting stuff out of ships that are soft depth. This is easily the easiest ship to load in a hurry. And as you said, it's because that cargo bay goes down to the ground. You're not like in a C1 kind of putting it or carrying it up the ramp. You can just like essentially chuck it in and go. It's the same thing with the Spirit. It's got the like it's easier, but it's still got the ramp thing.
yeah,
And you can look at every ship like that. There's a Cutlass, and I'm trying to think through to think of another ship. I think the Cutter would be the only one that's kind of low enough to the
mm,
ground to even kind of fall into that. But a ship this big with what is it, like 176 or 170 ish
yeah,
cargo
cargo.
is quite large. Like it's not as big as obviously as a Hercules, but this minus the speed, like the speed of like yeah, I just think it's a really good combo. And I think it's going to start to find its niche more and more. So I can see why you've selected it. Yeah, it's not a terrible choice. And I also think it's probably underutilized in that role. Let's be honest. I don't see a lot of Tauruses in game at the moment.
No, no, I don't think a lot of people take it. And I'll be honest, if I'm taking out Connie, the
Mm,
Taurus is one of the last ones I take out
mm,
because usually I'm not wanting to do cargo. But if I'm doing cargo or I'm doing
mm,
things where I'm wanting to pick up cargo,
mm,
Taurus is definitely the thing that I'd be looking at.
mm. All right, and my last number one, or my number one, is the Corsair. Now I don't actually own one of these at the moment, but I have been using it with a friend, and it is just really insanely versatile. That's why it's on this list. Now I own a Connie Andromeda and a Redeemer, and that's why I don't own the Corsair.
Mm.
But we often go out in his Corsair because it literally you can shoot everything, you can put everything in the back, you can carry vehicles, you can do cargo. It is
Yeah,
the hyper generalist at the moment, right? Where if we really just want to do combat, we'll take my Redeemer. If we just want to do cargo, then we'll take like a C2 or a Connie or something like
but if
that.
you're wanting to do a bit of everything,
Everything, this is where it's at. And that's why it's, again, we're talking about daily drivers here. This is,
yeah,
I think, at the moment, the pinnacle of daily drivers. And I think even your choice there, Agrid, the Taurus, is not a terrible one either. I think it would fall into a probably just behind this one because this would nudge it out in combat, as in, so it's got a bit more versatility. But if you're
mm,
again leaning to non-combat roles, the Taurus would definitely be up there. Well, for example,
yeah,
this doesn't have the tractor beam, so it's a disadvantage in that way. What's your thoughts on the
yeah.
Corsair, Agrid?
I think that the biggest problem for Corsair, you blow up the wings and you lose some of your firepower.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is a very nice ship. It does have a lot of firepower for the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it does have a nice usable cargo hold, which is again, as you said, it is a good general ship. The cargo capacity, the standard cargo capacity of this is the same as an Andromeda, which is 96 SU of cargo.
Same as the MSR as well. Yep.
Very similar in, I think, weapons loadout when you compare them. This has, I think, more guns, but the Andromeda can end up throwing a lot more missiles and stuff. But
it's very comparable to the Redeemer in gun loadout. Insanely close. Yeah.
So lovely ship.
Yeah. I think the other thing I'll add is they did recently release some stats on the deadliest ships in the game, and this thing had more kills than the next by almost 2 million. So this is currently the deadliest ship in game, and I don't know if that's because it is actually the deadliest. I'd argue it's not, but I think just a lot of people own it. So a lot of people will probably or let me know in the comments. Do you agree with our choices here? Do you agree with what Algared and I have said here? Which ones do you like? Which ones you don't? And if you want, do your top 5. I probably should have said that at the top of the episode. Do your top 5 before you come and see our top 5, but I forgot to do that. So yeah, let us know your top 5 in the comments below. Algared, is there anything you'd like to hear from people?
No, I'd like to know what people think. I'd like to know what their top 5 is. I love that we've got a Talon in our picture in the top 5, and it didn't make the list.
I said that while I put it in. I said I'm going to put the Talon in, and no one will know what we're going to pick. But yeah, it just looked pretty. That's why it's there. Yeah,
it does look. It's a very lovely ship. If we're going by looks alone, the Talon would have been it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, there are some very pretty ships that just don't work properly yet, but we'll see. Every ship will get its heyday again. All right.
Indeed.
With that, then, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. And thank you to everyone that went an extra mile on the end of the video on Patreon. All right. He's been Algared.
He's been Execute, and we're out of here.
Catch you. See you, citizens.
You remember.